Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. This video, I'm playing Stellaris, so it's a Steam summer sale, and I picked this game up at least a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Never actually played it, but it was on a really good sale at the time, and I had always been kind of interested in the game, but it's incredibly expensive if you want to get into it and get all the DLC. Um, but I finally loaded it up, and one of the other reasons I hadn't played it is just because it seemed like it was going to be incredibly complex. And while there is, some complexity to it, if you've played like a real-time strategy game or like a civilization game, 5X strategy game, you'll feel pretty at home. I just jumped into it with the hints, the tutorial tips on, and I played one game, and I just, was just kind of messing around, so I was attacking like everybody near me, and then they quickly came and like killed me. So this is my second game. My first game lasted less than, an hour just because of that. So I haven't, I'm actually doing pretty well. You can see we've got a pretty big chunk of the galaxy here under our control, and the borders are starting to kind of begin to flesh out with the neighboring alien civilizations. The great thing about this game is you can kind of like role play whatever sort of, Imperium or Galactic Empire that you want to. So I basically am a basically Warhammer 40k Imperium of Man, so incredibly xenophobic, like humans are the only acceptable race, and if there are any other humans out there, I'm going to subjugate them and bring them into the fold. So I actually conquered a world over here that had like a relatively undeveloped civilization on it, and with sort of how my civilization is set up, I have the option to like purge the aliens from the planet. So of course we purged the aliens from the planet and just genocided them or xenocided them. A couple other interesting things that have happened so far in this playthrough. So over here, this is one of my other habitable worlds. It was my second habitable world, and it has Titans on it, which basically Titans are like a giant resource. So it just has huge life forms, and I can hunt them on this planet instead of having farmers, and then that way they are able to make a ton more food from being a Titan hunter versus a farmer. But the Titans actually took over the planet at one point, so I had to bring in my fleet and a bunch of armies, because you have to land like ground armies to retake the planet. And I was I basically had to orbital bombard the planet into oblivion, and then land a bunch of. It killed probably, because I didn't realize how to check their strength initially, but if you go here to this tab, you can see the strength of the enemies. And one of the Titan life forms or Titan armies was like 5 times stronger than one of my armies, so I basically had to bombard it until I killed 2 of the 3 armies, and then there was one that was left with like 20% health, and then I landed 5 armies on there and was able to retake the planet. But it took quite some time, and it like severely like impacted my economy and my expansion, because I lost all of the resources that this planet was producing during that time. So I went into like a really like negative, like I was like losing a lot of resources there. So we had to deal with that. And but yeah, it's just a lot of interesting mechanics in this game. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Pretty much the whole time I was playing it just flew by. All my neighbors so far have basically declared me as a rival. So I've had I lost a fleet. There's this giant like ship here this scavenger bot that is like incredible. Like, it killed my entire fleet. So I don't know what you get if you're able to like kill it and like investigate this sector here, but it killed a fleet of about 30 of the starter ships, so it's pretty strong. Here's my home world, you know, Earth, Terra, but it killed a fleet of about 30 of, let's see, of my whatever, the corvettes, that's what they're called. So up here you can see like these are my max allowed number of ships. You can exceed it, but it starts to severely impact your economy. So first off, if you guys don't mind hitting that subscribe button, really appreciate it, helps me out. We hit 1,400 subs, now we're gonna go for 1,500 subs. But it's pretty it's a pretty sweet game. Right now I'm trying to expand to this side of the galaxy as much as I can until I run into another empire. And then at that point, since I'm kind of surrounded on multiple fronts, like I've got, like, these people are kind of hostile towards me. Over here they're kind of hostile towards me. I'm not really, this one's, I don't really think they can get to me. But most of the people that, you know, I've talked to, like, I've given them the dialogue option where I want nothing to do with them. I didn't join the galactic, you know, Senate or whatever they called it when they founded it. It's kind of like the UN, but for the galaxy, because I'm going to exterminate all the Xenos in the galaxy, is the plan. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. So you can pause the game, which is nice because it lets you, just as you start to expand and get like very large, you can kind of jump around and make sure everything's going, you know, as it should. Over here, I have a couple sectors that my like neighbors have laid claim to. So I've kind of been expecting that, you know, there may be attack coming in through here. So I've got, you know, some ships position, upgraded the starbase a little bit. Over here, they laid claim to this sector. So I kind of went overboard and I built a bunch of defense platforms. And I was reading afterwards that maybe they're not the best, but I do think that it will, you know, it could be helpful because it's very, I feel like it's likely that they're going to invade here. But we'll see how helpful that is. So I probably won't build any more defensive platforms, but you can also on your star bases add these other buildings that give you resources. So I had to do that recently just to overcome some deficits as I was like settling planets over this way. There's a planet here that it's not exactly fully habitable. Where is it? I think it's this world. It's only like 45% habitable. So I don't really know if it's even worth starting a colony there, because the one planet that I exterminated that other race on, which maybe they were like adapted to live in a cold climate, I've settled this and it's just not really it's just kind of like worthless at this point. I mean, maybe it'll get better, and when I can terraform it will continue to improve, but right now it's like not really producing anything. Like, I'm getting 2 trade resource and then like a small net negative here for those resources, which, you know, it doesn't really, it's basically just a breaking even at this point. So I don't know if it was worth it to settle it. but I didn't really realize it until after the fact, because I'm still learning a lot as I'm playing, because most of this, well, all of it is like a kind of new as I experience. So over here, this is kind of like a choke point for all these other entrances. So I'm gonna build a star base, or like upgrade my star base here, and then we're gonna create like a shipyard and all that good stuff, so I can pump out some ships over here, because right now my only other functioning shipyard is in the Sol system. And over here, you know, it might be worth it to also build a shipyard. But at the moment, I just put a bunch of solar panels on it, because I was like severely lacking in energy credits there for a while. Like, I've been having to buy them for quite some time.
Anomaly found.
So the way you expand in this game is you send out like your science vessels, and they do basically what's like a survey of the system, and then you have to send in your construction ships, and then they will they can come in and okay, see, everybody's just declaring me their rival, which is fine. But they'll come in and survey the system, and then you send in your construction ships and you build an outpost. And then if there's a habitable world, which right now I have like three you know, very habitable worlds, and then 2 that are not so habitable. And it's kind of interesting how you manage the worlds. It's basically just done through this tab. You know, it's kind of like a Civ tab from that game, and you just sort of like manage the buildings in the town. You can manage you can clear out areas. Sometimes you need a certain technology to do it, though. That'll give you more like space to build stuff in. And then you get you can manage the workers, and the workers are kind of based off of no, we don't trade with alien scum. So here's like the population, the amount of housing we have, the amenities, how much crime, like the stability. Here's some unemployment. You've also got leaders, and they get like abilities. And the abilities are kind of interesting because they have various, you know, some of them are empire-wide if they're on your council. Some of them are more like if they're actually like if they're in a ship. Some of them are if they're like a governor. So you kind of have to like decide, you know, which one you're gonna do. And we're gonna send this guy out to continue surveying. It kind of sucked because I lost one of my best scientists surveying this system and then running into that scavenger bot. So that was unfortunate. But once I get the I also really like how they do the technology in this game, because there's probably so many different options. It's not a tech tree, which I actually really like. It's you research a technology, and then it gives you like between 3 and 4 options to pick for the next technology, so you don't have to Okay, I guess I'm at my naval capacity, so we may need to come in here and take a look at this queue. Okay. I guess the, do not interfere, aliens. These, cruisers must take much more, capacity than your average ship, so I was curious how that worked, but that, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So, but that's fine. So I've got, right now I've got a fleet of like corvettes, and then I've got some destroyers, and then I just recently got this cruiser research. So it's pretty awesome because you can like design your ships. Like they come with default options. So this is like the default one, and it uses like a mass driver weapon type, which is like a kinetic. But I got the tier 2 lasers, so I went ahead and like made some options using the tier 2 lasers. They have effectiveness. If you've ever played like EVE Online, where it does less damage to shields but more damage to armor and hull, and the mass drivers do more shield damage but less armor damage. So I don't know if it's better to do like a mixture, but you also get like armor and shield slots. So we've got some like tier 3 armor with tier 2 shields. We've got a tier 3 fusion reactor, but this other stuff I haven't been able to actually research yet, just because it hasn't come onto my option. So the foreign empire claims our system. So someone else laid a claim, the Mandasurin, which I forget. Okay, so this guy up here, he's laying claim to the Elysia system, which is like way over here. So pretty soon, in the very near future, I'm gonna invade this guy and probably take over some of this territory.
Anomaly found.
Because he's like posturing like he wants to go to war. So I'm gonna do like a preemptive strike on him, most likely, because I think I may have at least a bit of an advantage right now in terms of military. And then I do have like a heavily fortified base here, so I'll probably like launch my attack from here. And then, if I take over this point and this point, I don't know if they're connected to these over here or not, because it's kind of in the fog of war. But at least if he's trying to come attack me from like up here, which I assume his like capital is up in this direction, that he'll have to come through this system here, and it's pretty heavily fortified at the moment. So that's kind of the plan. So we're gonna investigate that anomaly. Gonna put him on auto build. But yeah, I just wanted to make a little short video on
a new world for our people.
Okay, so we just finally settled this world over here. So they finally got to settling. So this world, they can have different like numbers of districts, and so basically, you kind of want to look at it, at least how I am, is do you want this to be a world that's generating power? Do you want it to be like a factory, world that's getting a lot of like minerals? Or do you want it to be producing a lot of food? So this world doesn't even have any farm plots. We can clear a lot of land here. So that gives like some extra research, extra generator districts. This would give us more generator districts, more generator districts. That would give us extra like science. So this number here, that's just how long it takes. This over here is the resource cost. So right now, looking at this, like I want this to be, it's going to be a generator world. So you can set up like this, so you get 20% more generator output plus additional trader jobs. So I'll probably build this, but right now kind of what I want to do, okay, so I need to first things first build a couple generator districts here, then we can assign them to work in the mines or in the generator.
Council agenda available.
So I have this influence resource, and I don't really have a way to spend it. I can't make claims on anything. Like you spend a little bit of it when you settle, like when you create a new star base in a system, but I've just kind of been capped out and not been able to like find a good use for it. So we're about to get a new agenda. So that's my like council of leaders. Here's my emperor. He's getting pretty old though, so he, like a lot of my original council members are like getting close to 100. So they're probably gonna die soon. There are ways to make them like immortal, but I'm not really sure how. I was hoping I might like get that technology with cybernetics, because like my empire, they're all cyborgs at the moment, like the vast majority of them. And once I can, I'm gonna terraform Mars and, you know, create it into like a Forge world, kind of like how it is in the 40K universe. So that's gonna be pretty cool. So I just need to keep an eye on my new planet over here to get it up and running. So we're building these like generator districts. That's kind of where I'm going to focus my attention at the moment. A lot of times you'll get these little pop-ups, just letting you know something happened.
Construction complete.
So we finished building some stuff here. So we got a new agenda. So these you just kind of set every so often, just kind of depending on what whatever it is that you want to do at the moment. So we're gonna do the Flesh's Week, and we found an anomaly. So he's doing some surveying, so I probably want to find a different science ship. That one's doing something. That one's doing something. So we'll wait. We'll wait to address that anomaly. Come back over here. Check out our new world. So we've got one generator. So I'll set that as the priority. That way, because one thing that'll happen that I learned is that the workers are kind of automatically wanting to promote. So there's different castes. Let me find my main world. So they all want to promote up into specialists and elites. So if you have a bunch of like openings and specialists and your workers are able to promote, they will. But then that can give you a problem where you run out of workers and you stop generating basic resources. So we're like drilling on this excavation site. You know, it gives you some stuff. Not interested. Xenos filth. Be gone before I kill you. But it gives you some... Let's see. See, it doesn't even give me the option to like lay claim to stuff. But when you get discoveries, this is another resource you can...
Situation log updated.
You know, do that with, and you get some stuff. So let's come back down here. So one thing we want to build is an augmentation center, because that will allow us to turn our people into cyborgs more quickly. But the thing is, we don't want to do it too early, because then we won't have any regular workers. Actually, it probably doesn't matter right now because of how well my overall economy is doing. We are xenophobic. Turn them away. The other thing that's kind of cool is, like, depending on the... You saw how the option was grayed out for me to accept them. So depending on, like, the policies and, like, social structures that you pick, it blocks certain options for you, so you can't go against, like, what you set up, which I think is pretty cool. Alright, let's see here. So I think we're starting to do pretty good on energy, and I don't think I have the ability to mine the that like rare resource, the yellow symbol. I'm getting +2 per turn, so we don't want to get that yet. We'll probably... See, this I could use because I do get a lot of the gas. I don't really have a science planet yet, either. So we'll probably go ahead and get that. Just make our ships a little faster. The other thing I like to build is this. Gives you a lot more housing and amenities. Something I was going to try and set up on this planet. I can start to generate some more of one of the rare resources. I would have to get rid of
Situation log update.
I would have to get rid of, like, one of these other buildings here. So I'd basically have to either get rid of some scientists or this. The thing is that the, oh, I can't change it there. So, it gives you volatile motes, which I really need, per 100 metallurgists and artisans. So ideally, like, this would be the ideal planet for me to do that on at the moment. But I'd rather not get rid of them if I don't have to. I mean, I'm getting a lot of...
Special product complete.
I'm getting a lot of the luxury resources. Like, way more than the alloy. Like, I use a lot of the alloy. I don't use a lot of the consumer goods at the moment. So I think if I had to pick between the two, that's the one that I would change. But I'd also... like, I don't want to hamper my research until I can get a science planet. I mean, I guess I could always switch back in the future. So this doesn't actually create jobs. So then the other problem I would run into is I'd have a bunch of, like, unemployed people. It's also possible when they're unemployed they migrate, so that might not be the end of the world. So I think that is what I'm going to do, because it is... it is a pretty massive, like, resource that I need. And then what I can do, so I had to disable this building because it uses the volatile motes, and then I had to build a bunch more generator districts here, when what I'd like to do is, like, reactivate this, and then I can add a bunch more mining districts back in and produce more minerals, which once my other planet gets generating a bunch of power, that's probably what I will do. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna change this. And let's go back to, oh, Jallo Prime, what's going on? Oh, we're building the luxury residence, that's why. So once this gets done, they should be fine. Need to finish upgrading. Or wait. Here. Need to keep upgrading our star base. You're limited to how many star bases you can have. Again, you can exceed that number, but it becomes very expensive. So, video's starting to run a little bit long. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. A little different game than I've been playing recently, but it's I'm having a ton of fun with it, so I'd highly recommend it. You know, picking it up on Steam sale, because it's on Steam sale right now. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And remember to give them
Special
the
product
D.
complete.